How to prepare a quote. So how much is it going to cost? It's the big question. Quotes take time to put together, and it's important to get them right for you and your client. They're a great opportunity to build trust, put your best foot forward, and show your client you understand the job and will do it well. In this video, you'll learn the process for quoting individual jobs, developing a construction proposal package, and when you need a building contract. Now, most people think it's all about the price tag, but actually it's more than that. You want your client to understand your business so that they trust you'll do a good job. So include things like who you are, your business history, and positive client reviews. If you need help getting started, business.govt.nz has a free template you can use, which is linked below. So let's talk about 3 common ways you can quote a job. A fixed price is when you quote the total price for the job with the labour costs, material costs, and overheads built in. A fixed price plus quote means you still quote the total cost for the job, but it also builds in room for changes. For example, if your client hasn't finalised their design yet, you can provide a provisional cost based on the information available and adjust it and confirm it once the scope is clear. Lastly, a cost reimbursement or a labour only quote provides an estimate rather than a fixed quote, and you charge for actual costs of your work and materials rather than a fixed price. This kind of quote is mostly used when the scope of the job can't be worked out exactly in advance because of time constraints or material costs changing quickly. You decide how often to invoice. For example, you may choose to invoice based on project stages or monthly, and then gather costs for each invoice and send them to the client to pay. Whatever approach you choose, make sure your quote includes time, how long the project will take, labour, what you would charge for your work, materials, the cost of all the supplies you will use, including fixtures and fittings, subcontracted costs, extras like consents or permit fees and admin costs, GST, and terms and conditions, especially payment terms such as when you will invoice. You may also want to build your markup into the quote, which will be your profit. If you don't know how to calculate your markup or labour costs, watch the How to Price a Job video. When you're quoting a job, try to get as much detail as possible. Visiting the job site if you can to know what the requirements are, plus you might spot issues that could get missed in the photos. Write notes, take photos, get correct measurements, and get a feel for what the materials and finishes the clients are after. You might even want to send an email summarising the job to make sure you've got it right before you cost it. If you're unsure about quoting a job, consider hiring a quantity surveyor to estimate material, labour, and service costs. You can build their fee into your quote so that you get the money back if you get the job. If your residential quote is more than $30,000, including GST, you must have a building contract. To do this, firstly, give your client a disclosure statement and a consumer protection checklist before you sign the contract. You can find this on the building.govt.nz website, where we've linked these below. Second, you need to have a building contract, agreed and signed with the client. This helps protect both you and your client and keeps everyone on the same page about who's doing what, at what costs, and what will happen if the job changes or things go wrong. Standards New Zealand have some building contract templates on their website that you can use to cover everything properly, but in an easy to understand language. There are different templates for different projects, so choose one that's best for you. To make it easy to find, we've linked them below. A couple of things to watch out for. Knowingly leaving information out on a disclosure statement or putting false information in can result in a fine of up to $50,000 if you're a sole trader, or $150,000 for a company. And the consumer protection checklist must be sent to the client as is. You can't add your logo to it or change it in any way. If your job is less than $30,000 including GST, you don't legally have to have a building contract, but it's still a good idea to have one to make sure everything is clear. If you do decide to have a contract for a job that's less than $30,000 including GST, then you must provide a disclosure statement and a consumer protection checklist if your client asks for them. Remember, the same rules apply as before. You can't make any changes to them. So there you go. Remember, quoting is not just about numbers. It's about giving your client confidence that you've thought everything through and you're the one for the job.